Yes, a very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. We thank you so much for following all our work, and as usual, welcome to this week's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa. And as usual, we're going to talk about some other pertinent topic like we always do with various ones. Now, between 1971 and 1979, there was a government in Uganda led by Field Marshal General Salongo Haji Idd Amin Dada, who at one point woke up and thought that all Ugandans of an Asian background had to leave the country Uganda. It happened, and we all know about, we have read about or heard about, or saw, those who were here saw and witnessed the expulsion of people with Asian background out of Uganda. A lot happened. Currently we see government trying to call them back, to welcome them back. Others are reclaiming what was their own and things like that. But what exactly happened to some of these people and their families internally when this expulsion happened? The government of Uganda, through the Ugandan High Commission in the UK, has an arrangement of mobilizing these people, bring them back home, allow them to come back and invest here and things like that. And recently they held a convention in Kampala, the first of its kind. So we are taking an opportunity to talk to one of them who left Uganda 52 years ago. Yes, and he returned just this very month after 52 years. We want to get to hear his story, how they were thrown out of Uganda, where did they go, how did they walk out, and the choice of where they went, and what was life like, and the current situation of who they became after whatever happened. His name, he's a retired medical doctor in the UK. His name is Dr. Manoj Joshi, MBE DL. He will tell us what MBE means and DL. Doctor, you're most welcome to the show.
Good morning, Michael. Many thanks for your courtesy of inviting me to appear on your very fabulous show, and you are a great interviewer.
You're most welcome. I'm so humbled.
Yes, you're fabulous. So,
what is MBE?
MBE is the most excellent order of the British Empire, which is a national honor awarded by the monarch at the time. And I was awarded this honor by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in her last year of reign for services to COVID, provision of COVID services.
Okay, that's how you were honored.
Yes.
So, you were born in Uganda. When was that and where? Let's start from there.
I was born in the most wonderful town, Jinja, which is now a city, the source of the mighty Lake Victoria, and the longest river, Nile, in the world. So you cannot be born to any better place in the world than Jinja.
Yes.
And I was born in 10th of March 1952.
Okay.
My origins were from India. I was a third generation to be in Jinja, Uganda. My grandfather came from India, from a place called Ranawao in Gujarat, via Porbandar and Mombasa, and initially settled in Iganga. In 1910 he started his business, and he was agent for Singer sewing machines in the Busoga district.
Okay.
And we had an adjoining fabric business which sold lots of clothes, because at the time there was nothing available ready-made, so everything has to be made. So we employed about 40 people to measure, to sew curtains, bed sheets, pillows, clothes, shirts, ties.
In your grandfather's shop?
In my grandfather's shop.
Okay.
So that's our history and background of arriving and staying from 1910 till 1972.
So your family settled in Iganga, but you were born in Jinja?
Yes, after initially starting in Iganga, the business expanded, and as Jinja was a town, growing, that is where the business was. So my grandfather located to Jinja because that is where the opportunities were there.
Did you go to school in Jinja? And which
yes,
school?
Initially, my first school was kindergarten, which was on Naranbai Road.
Okay.
Then I went to a primary school, a junior primary school called Ramgarhia Sikh Primary School, which was on Kampala Road. And then I went to the junior primary school called Naranbai Road Primary School.
Yes.
And then I went to Jinja Senior Secondary School.
Jinja SS.
Yes, Jinja SS, that was
You
my
must
school.
be having thousands of OBs and OGs watching you.
I hope they are.
Definitely they are there. So, by the time this expulsion came, how far had you gone with your education?
I had just qualified as a pharmacist and then went for further studies abroad. But before that, the expulsion happened, so my education was cut short and we had to remove directly from Uganda to go UK.
Where did you train pharmacy?
In Makerere,
Okay. You are an alumni of Makerere University.
yes.
When did this news come out and where did it find you as a person, as a family in general? That from such and such a date, we don't want to see such and such people in Uganda. When did it come out and where did it find you?
The announcement was made in August 1972 and everybody was stunned and everybody was shocked as to, is this real? Is this going to happen? And there was panic amongst all Asian people or people who were not of African descent. And so panic started and everybody started going to British High Commission to get their documentations ready and started to move out. People started selling businesses which they were not able to sell. So generally there was just panic to get out.
Give us a picture of your family. How did this situation treat you as a family?
Well, we were all shocked because we didn't have all the documents of Ugandan citizenships, and we just had to collect our items and goods and precious things, but we were only allowed to carry 20 kilos. So there was nothing to take really apart from ourselves.
So you were not allowed to carry anything? Only 20 kilograms of what?
Yes.
Clothes?
Anything of not value, because everything was confiscated of value. There was nothing there to take.
Okay. So personally, were you at school? Were you already at work? Where were you? And
I was actually abroad at that time in India, and I had to get out of India to get to the UK. My rest of my family was here and they had to get out.
you were barred from carrying anything.
Yes.
How easy was it to travel? How did people travel to leave Uganda?
Well, we all had to either go by car. There's only one way of travel, which was to go by car.
To where?
To Entebbe Airport.
Okay.
There was no other way to go out. Everybody flew out from Entebbe.
There are stories that we were told of people who walked to Kenya.
Yes, that's all by road or rail or by bus. There's no other way of going. So people were walking from different places, because Jinja was not the only place. People living all over Uganda. So they had to get out from the nearest place.
Okay. We also hear of people that are said to have committed suicide, others that threw themselves into the lake. Are all those stories true?
They are true. People were, it's very traumatic to talk about, but people were captured and taken and removed from their families. We've heard about all those terrible stories, and some of them have never been seen back.
What made UK the best choice to go to for you? Because if the historical descent or background was in India, why UK after the expulsion here?
Because the immigration or the movement was under British rule, and everybody traveled under British Empire passports or documentations. And in Uganda, it was a colony and protectorate, so all the systems were education system, the commercial system, the legal system were all based on the English system. And because majority of the people were going to Britain, because that is where the most government was responsible for getting them back to their country, which is UK.
One would think that because my descendancy is in India, if the government in Uganda says go away, definitely one's way to run to would be India.
It was, but because we had left, we were 3 generations here. There was not much links with India.
It wasn't easy to trace back.
Trace back would have been very difficult because my father was the only son, and because as I said, we were 3 generations in Uganda.
Yes.
Our
Your
links,
great-grandparent, your great-grandfather, your grandfather.
No, my father,
your father,
grandfather,
and you
father and me, and we had no links or I would say connection as strong as we had connection with the UK.
Okay.
So that is why UK was chosen. And the country was responsible for its citizens and subjects at that time to take care of them.
Had you had trained in the UK? You had gone for some studies in the UK?
No, I had gone to India on a visit, and then from there I went to England to continue my further.
Because I'm imagining now, here you are, expelled from Uganda as a family, now you get into a foreign land,
Yes.
the United Kingdom.
Yes.
How was that kind of an experience?
Well, that experience was very warm and welcoming. It was very safe and secure, and people were wanting to help us. And my family were taken to army camps where they settled. They moved around until they could find a place where they could go and settle in a place that they wanted of their choosing. And we settled in a place called Derby.
Why an army place? Were you in thousands? Were
Yes,
you
there
so
were
many
thousands.
for the government there to handle?
There were thousands of people going, and there were not ready places available like housing or employment or schooling. They had to be processed because everybody had to be processed, given the proper documents, their national insurance number, their employment number, and given them a place to be living before they could choose where to go and settle. So it wasn't just easy that you can just turn up. Imagine thousands of people turning up at an airport and nowhere to go. They had to have a system in place
Yes.
to welcome them and to process them and to make sure that they've got all the information, where to live, where to find work, where to settle. It takes a lot of time and organization.
In your family, how many people left Uganda for UK during that expulsion? Who and who? Was it your father?
My father, my mother, 4 sisters, 1 brother, and myself. So in total there were 8 people.
Your grandfather had died already.
My grandfather had died.
Where did you bury him?
He was cremated in Jinja in 1957.
Okay. So you were 8 people that left.
Yes.
So how do you now settle? How do you get out of the camp as a family now to settle as an established family in the UK?
So we were taken, all of us were taken to different places to choose, to select to live and work, and my father chose to live in Derby, and we rented a house, and that's how we started our journey. Work was very essential to get back on the feet, and that's how we started. And my father became a supervisor in a textile factory because we was experienced in textiles. I had qualified as a pharmacist, so I was started working in a manufacturing chemist, and that's how we started. My brothers and sisters were young, and my sister also started working in a bank, Barclays Bank, and that's how we started to rebuild our lives.
Okay.
And the rest started going to school, education.
So you also started a family as a person and your own family and walked out of your father's family?
No, I got married in 1979, but that was a time when my father died. So I was the eldest in the family, and I was responsible for my brothers and sisters. And so, in a sense, I became responsible for their education and their upbringing and their future. And that's what I concentrated on, and we became quite successful in that. They're all very well settled.
A family, I would say, was lucky You were a trained pharmacist.
Yes.
You had the skill already.
Yes.
Your father was a textile
Businessman,
specialist,
yes.
a businessman. So you easily. How was life like for these other families? Were you hearing from them, those that left Uganda with you people?
I think most of the Asian community in Uganda were either in business or in professions,
Okay.
banking, insurance, accountancy, medicine, and they were all very qualified. Educationally also they were very good. So it was very easy for them,
to
cope and get on with work. And that's how we became, in fact, the Ugandan diaspora in UK is the best example of a refugee community becoming the most successful community in the United Kingdom and making a net contribution to the economy. In fact, I think they contribute 6% to the GDP in the UK.
What kind of information were you gathering about Uganda back home where you had left?
We were hearing that the civil conflict goes on.
Because the expulsion was in 1972.
Yes, from
Then
1972 onwards.
What kind of information were you receiving from Uganda?
We were receiving that the economy is failing, there is civil fight, there is warfare, there is community disturbances, and there were a lot of trouble in Uganda. And politically that was very well known.
Were you guys homesick? Is there any time when you were homesick, you felt like, I wish I would be back in Igang?
We were always homesick, and we were still homesick. I don't think anybody who's left Uganda cannot be homesick.
No, I'm imagining if you are thrown out in a bad way, you get to a foreign land where you end up successful and life goes a better direction. Do you still feel like I would be in Igang?
No, because we had no animosity or bad feeling about the country or the people.
Okay.
It was the way it was managed that was an issue, and we went through a bad phase. But I think the country is called the Pearl of Africa. It's not called the Pearl of Africa for nothing. And it's called the Pearl of Africa because of the people, the country, the beauty, the weather, the resources that it's got.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with the country. So we had no problem with the country, really.
Okay.
Nobody has any problem with the country. It's a system.
Within the Asian community, how were you treated by the news that it's 1979 and Idd Amin has been overthrown and his government?
Well, we were pleased in the sense that one phase had ended and maybe a new beginning was taking place where it will probably allow us, the country, to grow and prosper again under the new system. And that we all lived in hope that that would happen.
Were there initiatives by the government that came up after Idd Amin to welcome you back to Uganda as a community that had been thrown out of the country?
There was some, but it wasn't
As serious?
as serious, and it wasn't as committed because there was still disunity in the country politically. And anybody who has been displaced, they would not like to come back to a place where it wasn't safe or secure or stability. Is a big matter, stability, especially for business.
Okay. After the overthrow of Idd Amin, the governments that came up, are there some of the people within the community that would fly back to check what is happening? Are there people that tried to return to Uganda immediately after the leave of Idd Amin?
Some may have tried, but it wasn't very good. It wasn't a united effort or a strong movement to come back to Uganda because still things were not stable, they were not safe. And that is what people were wanting, because if you are displaced and removed forcibly, the first thing people say, is it safe for us to return? And if we return, would we be able to go back to what we were doing and have our properties back and have our businesses back, and what were the terms and conditions? So those things were not very clear at the time.
There are big families known to have owned big businesses
Yes.
within Uganda, even at that time. Madvani, Mehta, all of those big household names. How were they treated? Where were they?
They were expelled as well. They all had to leave. Yes, everybody left. Some tried to stay, but everybody just left because it wasn't there. There was no safety for anybody. But when things changed, when the administrations changed, they were invited, or they were given the chance to come back, and some of them did come back and reclaim and started, but it still wasn't safe for everybody to return.
It took time to settle.
Yes.
Currently, we have some establishments like Association of the Indian Community, Indian Asian Community. There are associations that bring them together almost in every district and now at the national level. Was there anything like that at the time?
No.
Did you used to mobilize each other?
No, there was nothing. No. And because the Ugandan Asians who are in the UK also, they were widespread and displaced. So there was no, I would say, an organization or association. But later on, there was a Jinja reunion, ex-Jinja reunion association formed, and other associations were formed.
And it came after the expulsion?
Many years after the expulsion, many years.
Thank you so much. Let's take a short break.
Every marriage has 100% chances of succeeding. You know why? Because God created marriage, and God never creates failure, and God never designs anything to fail. Every marriage has 100% chances of succeeding. Is your marriage struggling and you're wondering whether it will ever succeed, whether you will ever make it, whether it's even worth holding on to? You got to tune into Unlocking Marital Bliss, because right here we provide the keys to unlock the bliss in your marriage, and you will be able to succeed. We've had testimonies, and lives are changing day by day.
Marriage must be a discipline. It must not be handled like a casual thing.
As women, when we have the outward expression, even our form of respect is tied to the outward things that you do.
Some women now have working class. They don't know how to handle their husbands because the marriage has become like question and answer marriage. Do you have any tea? Don't you have hands to prepare it? Why have you come back late? Did I take your blanket? It's question and answer marriage.
Not any other place, but every Sunday, 3 p.m., right here at UBC, with the one and only Cyrus Rod, not any other. Unlocking Marital Bliss.
Do you hear it? Do you see it?
In Uganda, Tanzania.
That's the sound of business in a developing economy.
For UBC News,
Charlotte Amuge in Kampala.
Catch the weekly business roundup every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. only on UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
Yes, UBC One-on-One, we thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. We are digesting a story of one of the people that were expelled from Uganda in 1972 by the government then, led by Field Marshal Idd Amin Dada, and we're sharing a story of how it was. He has returned to the country after 52 years. So we want to get now his feel of Uganda and the stories he has had, plus the initiative of government of Uganda to try to welcome them back. His name is Dr. Manoj Joshi, and he's a retired medical professional. Doctor, welcome back from the break.
Thank you.
You said the initiative of welcoming people back after Idd Amin were not serious, and actually you explained it well because of the political situation, because actually all the governments that came up there, they were not as stable.
Yes.
Because after 1979, we had the Binaisa, the Professor Lule, then Obote Lutua, Tito Kelo, all those governments. Some a few days, others So not until 1986 when the NRA, NRM came. After some good time, they started welcoming people back. Why did some of the members of the community, the Asian community, embrace the idea to return and others did not?
The safety and security and stability was still an issue. But more importantly, the Asian community that had now settled in the UK had their own children, and the original people had grown older. So the reason for them to come back and uproot again and start a new life was not as interesting or as attractive to them, because they had settled in the UK with their children growing up and their grandchildren growing up, and they were quite happy.
This is now what they knew as home.
Yes, but I'm just giving you the background as to why there was not a mad rush to get back. So that was the scenario in the United Kingdom and maybe in other parts of the world. Those people who were reassured or were attracted to come back because of the changes that the new government had made and had a degree of stability and was showing commitment of improvement in the economic life, in the political life, in the trying to rebuild the country again, that enabled people to start to come back in a little drib and drab, so little
in
stream of
phases.
people. Yeah, and then when others started to see that things were working and the government was continuing to create stability and to create right environment for people to come back, and also the government invited people from other countries to start supporting building the infrastructure, because they needed skill, they needed manpower, they needed expertise to restart the economy, and that is what led to a slow influx of people returning. And now the situation, the environment is so stable, so calm, so welcoming, and His Excellency the President, President Yusufari Museveni, has personally given his vision and leadership and commitment to welcome all the diaspora to invest, to live, to settle. And we attended the first inaugural convention, which gives clear indication where the country is heading. And that's why I have returned after 52 years to make sure that
To be part of the move.
Part of the move, to bring investment, to bring people back to Uganda, to enable it to prosper, because this is the greatest time and opportunity for the country to shine again.
It's almost 40 years since the NRM government came, and the stability, one would say, has been here. Why are some people still skeptical of embracing the initiative to call them back?
I think the political stability is there, has been going on.
Yes.
But the infrastructure, we need to have in order for people to invest their hard-earned money, to come and invest in a place, they need to make sure that their investment is safe, is secure, is repatriable, the incentives are there for people to invest the money, that taxation and other system, availability of finance is there, and then also the support mechanism. The government can only do so much. We need other support. So building of roads and railways and transportation system and education system, skilled workforce, all those things need to be in place, and it doesn't just happen overnight.
Did you leave property in Uganda as a family?
We left our property in Uganda, in Iganga, where my grandfather had initially started.
Were they buildings or just land?
There was buildings and land.
Have you reclaimed it?
No, we haven't reclaimed it.
Why? Because I've heard of initiatives. There is a whole commission that is handling this to give back properties of people that were expelled by the government of that time.
I think that's a very good initiative, and many people have taken advantage of that.
Yes.
Personally, and my family, we were just too busy and too concentrating in our own lives, and we were not focused on getting back here just to acquire property and a material part of our lives. We were not just interested in getting, we wanted to actually do something here, not just get our property or our resources and go back. We wanted, if we were to do that, we wanted to come and give something in return to the country that we'd left.
Okay. So you are not about to go looking for that property?
Well, we've been and seen where it is, and we want to try and establish our ownership of it, but whether we would actually take the ownership and acquire the wealth or the value of the property is still not decided, because as a family we have to decide that ourselves.
You said during the expulsion you were 22?
Yes.
Yes, you're somebody that at least knew what was going on.
Yes.
There are stories that actually the government of Uganda of that time paid all the Asian community. Whoever had property was paid. How true is it?
I can't say whether it was completely true or not, but I don't think everybody's been paid. Because
that when the expulsion came, people were given money on some accounts and things like that. Is there any story like that?
No, I don't recall any correct stories like that.
Okay.
I don't recall. I've not come across anybody who said they got all their money back from the accounts or the properties that were sold or left. I don't have any.
The property was just confiscated by the government.
They were just left and there was nobody there to account for it or what happened to it.
What do you think about people that have returned and they have established, they have rejuvenated their empires, they have made bigger investments out of them, taking advantage of the initiative by government to welcome them back? What do you think about them?
I think it's a very positive step, because we need talent, we need resource, and we need people to return, invest, and rebuild the country. And I think this is a great opportunity here now, because Uganda is the youngest, has got the youngest population.
Yes.
They need jobs, they need places to live, they need to grow, and of course, why should we not take advantage of that opportunity? And if there are people who are willing to come and invest, like they do in all other countries, why should Uganda lose out?
You were talking about the convention that you had, that you came to attend, and it is the first of its kind, but still its target is to see that you people are being welcomed to come and invest back home and things like that. Give us more information about this kind of initiative.
Well, I think it again, I have to go back to His Excellency the President, Museveni. He has given clear leadership and clear vision that the people of Uganda, the youngest population, has to have meaningful life opportunities to work, to prosper, and the best way to do it is to make sure that everybody is welcome, including the people who were expelled or who left Uganda for whatever reason, to come back, because they are Ugandans, for and foremost, and they should be welcomed and they should be encouraged to invest their time, their energy, their intellect, or their labor in whatever way. So there are avenues. So, for example, my sister, who is a retired bank professional, she wants to come and help in training banking professionals and work in that area and support in mentoring, training, assisting in processes and making things efficient. My niece, who is a doctor, she wants to come and help in supporting primary care, especially in diagnostics and in primary healthcare development, in prevention of various conditions and diseases, and also management of disease. I have interest outside of healthcare, where I want to support charitable organizations. So we've got clear gifts and opportunities to help and support Uganda, and we want to make a difference.
Is there a plan of how all this is going to be rolled out
Well, this is our first visit here. We have seen it with our own eyes. We've toured Uganda. I've told you already about our visits to Kakira and Lugazi and to Jinja, Iganga. We've been on the source of the River Nile. We've been there. We've seen the White Rhino Sanctuary. We've been to Murchison Falls. We've been to Kabale. We've been to see the gorillas. We've been to the equator. So we can now proudly boast about the beauty and opportunity of Uganda to visit. So we want to boost tourism. We want to encourage people to come and invest and use tourism as an anchor to invest in health, in education, in infrastructure. We got agriculture is a big avenue of growth where we want to harness that. So fresh fruit, pineapples and passion fruits and tea, coffee, all those things are very important.
Okay.
Where we need to create value, enhance value.
What is your view of Uganda's economy currently, based on the information you have gathered before even coming here and having now traversed the country for the time you've been around?
Well, I think it's growing 7.5%, 8% per year, which is quite a big growth rate compared to the UK, for example. It's a negative growth for last 2 months. So the country is growing, and when there's growth, there's opportunity. And we need to not only just grow, but we need to accelerate the growth so that we can catch up lost ground.
52 years since when you left, what have you seen different, both in the negative or in the positive? Let's start with the positive.
Yeah, I think positive is that the country is the same. The weather, the climate, the soil, the agriculture, all the opportunities are there in a big way. Additionally, we've had massive reserves of oil and gas discovered, which can create the country self-sufficient in energy. The population is growing, it's young, it's dynamic. We need to create more educational opportunities for them to train, to learn. So there are a lot of positives about the Uganda. The president and his team and the government is very committed, is stable. So I think the whole country is poised on a better future. But obviously there's lost ground to be caught. So for example, the infrastructure, the roads, it took me 4.5 hours to go from Lugazi to Jinja, for example. When we were touring around the different safari parks and different trekking for the gorillas, some of the roads are so bad that when people come from outside, they want to have a comfortable ride. We need to provide service stations where they can stop, where there's good, clean, hygiene place to rest and to refresh. We need to build all those things. So I think overall, I think Uganda, in my view, has no negatives.
Do you have any connection with the Indian community, Indian Asian community that is now currently operating in Uganda?
Yes, as I said, I've been and seen the Madhwani works in Kakira and the big growth and the enterprise that they have, which was established a long time ago, and they are now rebuilding that. We've been to Lugazi and seen that estate. Yesterday I met the owners of Lato milk products, the Ruparelia family. We know them. So I have met, and I also met a number of...
What kind of information do they give you about how operations are, how their businesses are, and the kind of future they project in as far as Uganda is concerned?
They have promoted Uganda very well. They have given a very positive message. They have encouraged people to come and invest and to participate in Uganda's recovery and continued growth. They are very positive, and I'm encouraged. I've seen the country myself. I've seen the opportunities. I've seen the determination of the whole government, everybody, all the ministers, permanent secretaries. They are all determined to make a difference and make Uganda great.
The government that did the expulsion explained their actions, blaming the community of repatriation of wealth.
Politics.
So what do you look at, like, what's your view about that?
I personally think that people were trying to rationalize and justify their actions of the past, blame some community or other community, or it's really down to, if you want a country to run in a successful, stable way, you need to create environment in which businesses can thrive, which is less bureaucracy, less red tape, open, transparent government, taxation is favorable, availability of labor which is trained and skilled. Those are the factors that encourage investment and businesses to grow. Otherwise, people will go somewhere else where there are other opportunities.
So you think that was just a funny justification of their actions? There was nothing like repatriation?
I think so. I think so. I think that the government that expelled all the people, they did it for some political reasons, which was nothing to do with the people. It was just political and to gain their what we call legitimacy.
Okay.
But I don't think there was any genuine desire for repatriation of wealth or people to come in.
The look of things have now broadened from now just Uganda to East Africa and now Africa. What is your view about that in terms of business and investment?
I remember...
At a situation where government is calling you people back.
Well, I remember after the independence, there was a great cooperation. It was called the East African Community.
Yes.
And that
it's
was
back, and governments in the countries are doing a lot to push it.
Yes, and I think it's always good to collaborate. It's always good to coordinate, and it's always good to share good practice. And if we can make it easier for businesses to work cross-border without any extra tariffs or extra bureaucracy, it's always good. And then Uganda, East Africa, and Africa. Africa is a continent of immense wealth, immense resource, which in the past has been exploited to make other countries richer. And now the time has come where the ownership of the resource is taken for the benefit of the local population or the countries in which it is there, for them to benefit. So we want and all other countries do the same. So why should Africa not do the same? So Africa is rising, all the countries are rising, and we need to create political stability so that business can operate safely. Because businesses need stable environment in which to grow, in which to work. So they need less bureaucracy, they need more transparency, they need trained workforce, they need developing workforce, they need education system, they need good schools. So for example, a new business is coming, they set up a business in a free enterprise zone, for example. They would say, well, where my children will go to school, what recreational facilities there are. So you need to build all those infrastructure to support the people who love. And in the end, it's the quality of life of people, because that's what matters. If people are happy, safe, healthy, everybody benefits.
What would be your message to all our people that were expelled and they have not returned to Uganda?
I would say that those people who were expelled, come back, see the changes for yourself, see the good side of Uganda, which was always there, which is the people, the land, the beauty of the place, all the animals, all the land, people, and come and see and then make a contribution. Don't listen on hearsay or past history. Come and see for yourself, because the reality is different to what you see in the news media or social media, because I've seen it for myself. It is so joyful to be back. It is so encouraging to see all the developments and the opportunities there are.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Yes, his name is Dr. Manoj Joshi. He is one of those people that were victims of the expulsion of Ugandans of Asian descent in the 1970s of the government then, led by former president, the late Idd Amin Dada. He has returned to Uganda after 52 years, and he was here to be part of a convention, the first of its time, that intends to bring back those people, to welcome back those people back home, to see what they can be, that they can be part of Uganda and the development process of the country, and to such a motive. We have shared a lot the historical background of the whole story and how he sees the country and what its future can be with their involvement. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa with Davis Kamukama and the whole team. Wish you the best of the time. Bye-bye.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. This weekend on UBC. This weekend on UBC.
Everyone has a life story to tell, but an incredible life story is shared and told differently.
It is what you inspect that gets done, not what you expect.
Let's face it, an incredible life story hits different.
We do a meeting at Centenary Park to collect money for the Kwanjula. I think altogether we collected about 450,000.
So you had just done around 10%?
Yeah, but we had a bar bill of 950.
I've been around asking the tough questions and getting you answers beyond dreams and expectations.
Did you get that? I don't like dogs.
That's a nice one, eh?
Now I return, older and perhaps wiser, in this brand new series with incredible life stories told like never before.
I should have been a very confused chap, but my mom started realizing
Not
that...
much has changed, but okay, let's go.
Incredible life stories with Simon Kasiaten.
You say that I blow his mind every time I'm activated. You just trying to catch a vibe. CC got you fascinated. Jump up on the brand new ride. BMW riding, baby. I ain't gonna tell you lies. That's just how
we run one of the biggest live audience TV shows in the land.
Can't go within, I got glory, glory, glory.